You lead HR at a large organization. Did you ever fear AI will take your job? Everybody is talking about hiring new people, and they tell me all the time that it's getting more and more difficult to get somebody very talented in the team. There's a talent for war going on. But on the other side, do you think your team is working at the max? Everybody on the team is productive? How is the level at which you're getting outputs from everybody? Productivity means getting certain inputs and then getting it out in the most efficient manner as an output at the best cost and the best value. Today, we have few HR leaders who have done excellent work around productivity in their domains. And I would get started with my first question with Anirudh, who will help us explain what productivity means for HR.
Yeah, I think let's look at it this way. What productivity really means. The definition can vary from industry to industry, people to people, customer to customer. But we have grown basically in an environment where productivity meant quantity, how much quantity you produce in the given time frame, right? And that has
Mhm.
significantly changed now. So more than the quantity, what matters now is what value you are creating, right, in the given time frame.
Mhm.
And then there is a price, for the value, that you create. So I think that one shift has happened. Now, when that is happening, there has to be a lot of focus on what you produce, how you produce, what is the inbuilt quality and consistency that you build. And now, all the more for HR, because it's very difficult to quantify, it's very difficult to see the product that is coming out. It is also very difficult to articulate the service that you are getting. So then you end up articulating, HR's value only in terms of experience. And when you see, say, experience, how do you consistently ensure that the experience is better, over a period of time, with your employees, or with your internal customers? So the opportunity with AI is basically to ensure that the experience remains consistent and you can continue to enhance that experience across all the processes that you do in HR. I think that's how typically I would look at it.
Interesting. Sanjeeb, your comments, please.
See, I agree with Anirudh, because gone are the days where productivity was only numbers or was only volumes. A lot of times, the HR teams actually work on things which may not be able, I mean, which cannot be even felt. Like, say, for example, strategies, the plans, and that is where exactly the value thing actually comes in. The other thing I will also add up to the value. It may sound similar, but it is about the experiences that the HR team is able to create. Now, a little debatable point, because is creating the experience only the HR team's responsibility? May not be. However, it is whenever it comes to, say, people, processes, and practices. I think the HR team has a huge role to play in terms of being able to curate, create, and then implement such experiences. Therefore, I'm sure the definition of productivity definitely has changed, and more so for the people function.
Interesting. Nipsey, your comments?
Well, yes, I would echo Sanjeev and Anirudh's thoughts. I think generative AI, it's not, productivity is not measured in numbers anymore. I mean, it has improved our decision making through AI driven analytics, deeper insights into workforce trends, performance, engagement levels. So I think it has enabled personalized employee experiences by creating customized packages for people at different level in their career.
Okay. Anirudh, I'll get down straight to next question with you. Can you help us understand a brief overview of how do we see as the general applications of AI in HR? What are the general things that you are doing?
Right. So if you really see, where HR comes in picture, right? And I'll just go back one step. The minute that promoters or group of people, they start conceptualizing the business model, the first thing that happens in their mind is organization. And to me, the HR roles starts right from there, and it goes all the way up to what kind of delivery, what kind of value we are creating, for our stakeholders, right? So that's the entire cycle. Now, some people may call it a just hire to retire, but I that's very restrictive way of looking at it. I tend to look at it from more broader perspective. That's number one. Number two, then when you look at this, right from how you want to structure your organization and organization planning, then to go out in the market, look for people, those who you think would fit into your culture, will help you to grow, will align to your vision, will align to your values, will be able to seamlessly adopt to the culture that you want to create in the organization. And then you go for hiring those people. Now in all of this, if you see every word that I said, AI has got a role to play, right? And then there is an application available over there. Now, have we really reached to that level? No, that's debatable. We're still at a very, very transactional level. I'm just talking about the opportunity side of it. And then so once that thing happens, then the integrating the talent within the organization, there are a whole lot of procedural aspects to that, and that can simply be taken over and managed by AI. Right from, let's say, document verification, how much time are HR people really best on doing document verification for that matter, or employee creation for that matter, that can completely be automated. And we can build AI around that, in terms of verification. And so the whole human to human interaction, can be managed through AI now, maybe human to AI, AI to human, or sometimes just AI to human. All those possibilities are definitely there. And then the next step, also the entire career management. There is a lot of opportunity there as well. The life cycle management or the career management. And obviously then if there has to be a separation process also. So there is a role in every single step that AI can play. There is a tremendous value attached to it. In all of this, where is the value of human kind of element? So human element value is only when you really want to talk about the career, right, of an employee, leadership, right, decision making, impact on the business, customers. So all of those places where there is really a value for human intervention, then we will be able to focus on that. Today, I think 90% of our time goes on the transaction, only 10% value creation. I think that can simply be reversed. 90% time can be going to value creation, and 10%, managing the transactional stuff. That's the kind of opportunity that I see.
Okay. So what you're suggesting is that we can use AI right from onboarding and even before, right from finding somebody, then onboarding, then
Precisely.
then managing their entire life cycle while at the company, and probably even
Precisely.
post exit, right? Sanjeev, what are your
Precisely.
thoughts on this?
Uh, so three pillars of people: capacity, capability, and engagement. So three pillars of people in organizations or for organizations.
Mhm.
Capacity starts about encompasses everything that as Aniruddha had said, that the creating the organization. How is the structure going to be? Yeah. What is it? For that matter, look at numbers. How many people are we going to take? What is going to be the organization composition? Right? If an organization is going through say a change process, or say for example expanding in their business, how are we really? I mean, how can we really decide that what should the new organizations look like? One is the wish. Second is looking at data availability trends, crunching that entire information to be able to create some options for decision making. look at capability. Once again, competencies, type skills, type of people that we need, and also the career management, as Aniruddha said. Once again, data based, fact based, and with looking at people's journeys. Yeah. Coming on to engagement, a huge thing. I'm not referring to for network, and I'm sure we all know it. But and what do our people need? Is the organization doing enough? What is it that my people are asking today, and what is it possible, and what can my future employees ask? Yeah. I think till that point, and here I really see a big handshake between technology, college, GNI, college, anything, with the human capabilities, whatever is possible to, so whatever analysis, etc., 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 the hardcore stuff definitely can come through technology. However, decision making, implementation, and maybe taking the organization through it is definitely a human thing that I don't think technology today can do. I'm not sure if tomorrow's robots will be able to do that.
Okay. So we have a counterbalance here. Sanjeev is more focused towards the human aspect of it and what could go wrong. So with that, Nipsy, I see you smiling already. So what are your thoughts and what have you done differently?
Well, the decision is key to leveraging the strengths of both and achieving optimum efficiency and innovation. So, there are three things at least that we consider. First is about considering task complexity and creativity. So, AI is adept at handling routine, repetitive, and data intensive activities. These include data entry, data analysis, initial resume screenings, and all of that. But on the other hand, tasks that requires creativity, complex problem solving, strategic thinking, and nuanced judgment is best handled by humans. So that's on the complexity side. Then we need to think about emotional intelligence and human interaction. AI can provide initial customer services, managing scheduling, assisting with basic inquiries. However, it lacks the ability to understand and respond to human emotions effectively. Situations that require empathy, negotiation, conflict resolution, and personalized, you need personalized human interaction to resolve those things. So I would say a hybrid of both AI and human.
Okay. Aniruddha, I'll get back to the readiness point that you've mentioned, but before that, I see something very interesting popping up. How do we understand the thin line between what's to be given to AI and what is best left with the humans? How are you making that decision? With the help of
Okay,
AI?
so yeah, so I think Nipsey mentioned emotions, and Sanjeev talked about engagement, right? And precisely that is the point. That can definitely not. So, for example, a friend calling you and saying, "How are you doing today?" That value cannot be really articulated. That has to come from your friend. Who do you consider as a friend, right? So, in a job, when you show up in the office, somebody smiling at you and saying good morning, that can never be replaced by AI, for that matter. Somebody's walking by your, desk, or walking by your cabin and say, okay, you look preoccupied. I hope everything is okay. That cannot be replaced by AI. Okay. Or you reaching out to somebody, you got a minute, I just want to talk to you something. I'm at decision point. I'm thinking like this. So that interaction, can happen only with a human being. Nipsey also mentioned about empathy. That can never be done by, that can never. So where we are today, we are in between. For example, AI has really moved far way beyond the transactional work, right? Now, for example, if you are conducting an interview, now AI perhaps, and I don't know, I haven't seen it, but perhaps I'm just assuming that has got a capacity to conduct a behavioral event interview as well, because there are various scenarios which AI can think of and can compare and can say, okay, suggest this is the way, right? But when it comes to human interaction, you don't need to spend a whole lot of time. Only vibes, you can make out things, and you can empathize, and you can help that person. Okay, this situation. So I think what is happening is AI slowly, kind of becoming better and better at it. However, it will never reach to a level where human beings will find themselves comfortable talking to or spending time with, let's say, machines. That can never happen, right? You still need your friend. You still need to grab a cup of coffee with someone, have a talk, or if not beer. So I think that value has to remain. Translate that back into the organization, right? We all have done work from home, and most of us, honestly speaking, we never like that idea. We don't like that idea for going forward as well, right? We want to come to office, we want to see people around, we want to work with people, right? And that can never be taken away. And you need different functions, you need different perspectives to speak to, right? So I think that will also remain. What AI will help us, and we'll go back to what you asked first, is to improve productivity, quality, and value. Quickly you can turn around things, you can become more competitive, you can become more smart. You don't need to spend, for example, I don't need to keep thinking about where will I get stuck in the traffic. You just open your Google map and you're still listening to music, following the map, and you're there. That's it. So I think good balance, and the quality of human interaction will really really improve. And the value that two human beings can create by while coming together will improve significantly. So that's my sense.
Okay, I'll get more HR specific and get down the waters. Now, I want you to assume, and I'm opening this question to anybody who would want to go first. Assume you are the HR head for a company that has recently reached to about 1,000 employees in size versus somebody who has raised their Series A and have about 100 people. How differently would the aspect of AI implementation would be for these two different characters? Can you help throw some light here?
Okay, so maybe I can go first, very quickly. I think again the processes remain same, right? Whatever processes, HR processes for 100 people organization or 1,000 people organization, would remain same. So adoption of technology, would remain same. The human interaction, however, in a smaller company, they would expect the management or HR to be far more visible, to be far more accessible, and perhaps sitting next to you and helping you out, right? And that is very well done. In a smaller organization, even promoters have done that job. Promoters have done, every role, possible role for that matter. In a 1,000 people organization, that reach cannot be definitely managed. So there could be some adoption of technology, some adoption of digitalization,
But how do
where
you decide? But how do you decide that? That's the question.
it is purely decided by the volume of human transactions, that you are going to have any given point of time.
Okay.
Right?
Um,
Purely
Mr.
determined by the volume of the transactions and interactions.
Mhm. Sanjeev, I'd want you to answer it differently and I'd add some more context to it. See, everywhere there are HR tech companies popping up.
Yeah.
Everybody is selling you some kind of tech solutions, right? But there's only one point that is very interesting, and that is the value in terms of how much cost you've invested, how much cost have you suffered in terms of adopting a technology versus what's the impact on value of that particular domain, right? If the impact is low and the cost is high, it will never be justified that you've spent X million dollars on this investment. So how do you make that decision to, justify that investment in your domain?
See, first and foremost, I will just once again borrow from Aniruddha. The 100 people, 1,000 people depends upon the volume of work, but more importantly, the complexity of work.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, if I have to now join this dot to your questions, so basically, once it depends on what I am putting onto technology. What what is it that the technology can do far better than me? Me as in human. For example, say I mean I am under serious recruitment pressure, right? And I have to recruit volumes, which means the quantum of CVs that I need to screen will is also in volume. So if that is work that I'm doing by X number of people today, I adopt technology there, yeah, it might be a success. However, the other point that I would want to bring in, and that is where I think a lot of us, a lot of organizations also probably go wrong, is to be able to calculate the ROI, because ROI is not only in this particular example the cost of the solution that I have brought, and maybe then I will take the cost of the people out. It's probably not that. Are we looking at how much time it is saving? Are we looking at how much accuracy it is bringing in the process? I think these considerations have to be taken. Just because more often than not, we have actually seen ROI of tech solutions being only calculated, particularly in people processes, by how many people I'm really letting go. Does not work. Yeah, and if I have to just also refer to some research, referring to the Deloitte survey regarding the use of AI that came up, and it was a global survey by about say 2,000 people who have been using AI solutions across all functions over the last 2 years. Yeah, what this said is that two things, and two very glaring things. One is we do not have the skill to even operate the solutions. So we are using the solution just to replace what our two hands are doing today. Definitely not the worth. So, and we are at least 3 years away from now to be able to build the skill to a substantial level, which will mean that at least for the next 3 years, it is going to be a gestation period for that investment. And it is predicting that the overall headcount is going to go up in such organizations. Things then stabilizes based on the business level of the organization, business dynamics of that organization after 3 years. So basically, this clearly tells us that today, even if the solution is capable, we are probably not using it. Therefore, we are seeing that dip, that negative ROI that is coming. Just 2 seconds more. The other thing that I have seen, and as you said, that yes, there are techs. I mean, HR tech solutions have just mushroomed and mushrooming. Good thing. However, I'm seeing each solution being just a copy paste of the other. So till the time it is just, it has probably become like an FMCG market. I buy product A, I buy product B. End of the day, I get the same thing. So till the time I am able to bring in that novelty in that product, I think this debate is going to continue, and I personally think it is going to normalize in the next few years, including availability of tech and the tech that is going to really value add to any organization system. So very clearly, my pick will be what value am I getting out of it.
Okay, I'll pick your stability factor and the readiness to adopt and to use it. Nipsy, you know what I am hearing a lot from HR leaders these days is that they're saying that we are adopting solutions. We are getting started with projects wherein we want to transform something, but it's not reaching completion, right? It's and at times when it's reaching completion, people are not ready to use it. They use it for a couple of months and then they revert back to their prior behavior. So what are the reasons that you think is causing this? Plus, how do we tackle with that adoption and stability and usability issue?
So I think cultural readiness and change management is very, very crucial here. We must foster a culture that embraces innovation and change. We have to get people from the organization. We have to have those, I'm forgetting the name, people within the company who would promote the AI adoption. Addressing any resistance to AI adoption, ensuring employees understand the benefit and potential of AI technologies. It has to be about educating people, continuously investing in educating employees is the only way. It's the entire change management process that we'll have to follow. But that's how I see
I think that's
integrated.
already being done at a lot of organization, and it's very sad, but it's still not working. I mean, when you're investing X amount of money in adopting technologies, I'm sure there are announcements and flag bearers saying that we are starting on with this, but something is missing. I'd want you to take a second and think about what can be those gaps that have still not been identified very clearly. Aniruddha or Sanjeev, any
Yeah,
comment?
I think for example, and why it is not, let's take an example of, let's say, performance management process, right? And that is an area where it has never worked, so Whatever number of years I have been seeing, technology adoption, and every now and then people come forward and we have a smart system. That smartness doesn't really work. Now, where is the gap? So gap is, frankly speaking, first of all, setting the expectations, right? And I'm just taking an example. So once we have to set an example, sorry, setting expectation, managers' ability to articulate what is expected from the job versus what is expected from the individual, right? Now that, and these two are different things, by the way. Now, what is expected from the job, system can help us to articulate that. What is expected from the individual, system can never help us with that, right? Which is more competency, which is more behavior, which is more adoption of whatever. So system is not capable. Then it comes to, okay, I set my goals and I want to achieve those, and I want to use this performance management process and get whatever done. What is the impact? What is the value that I'm going to get out of it? The rating, which is mundane thing, out of 5, I am somewhere 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. And then it is attached with the increment, whatever I may get. So the whole value is missing over there. Why do I really do this? So therefore, the system is being seen as more like, okay, it is easy for HR to keep record, nothing beyond that, right? And the best leaders, best managers are still doing more on paper, and they will say, okay, go and put it in the system. But this is my, and that interaction will carry a lot of value. So I think in the mad rush of technology adoption, we have automated everything. Some suggestions will pop up. This should be your goal. That's all confusing. We are really not using technology where we should be, honestly speaking, using. For example, you improve interface, right? Now your PMS is not available on mobile app. You have to go into the computer, you have to log in, then the screen will open up, then you are struggling on that entire web page. Where do I go? Where do I put value? What should I do? What should I select? So I think tech companies can, you know, invest into this, that how do I improve interface and simplify it in such a way that people can use it very seamlessly, right?
Yeah.
And then there'll be adoption. Otherwise, there is no adoption, right? Salary planning, for that matter. How many companies are using salary planning? Very few. Managers able to do the salary planning by themselves. Very few. End of the day, they will give it to you in Excel sheet. HR will go back, they will upload it in the system, and then we're done with it. So interviews, profile selections, everywhere this issue is there. So therefore, you know, when we say technology is really nothing but just the, I won't even call it as digitalization. It is just the technology that you're using instead of a pen and paper.
Hmm.
So I think we need to take a hard look at it. Now for HR also, is becoming very convenient. That there is a system, you go, you log in and you do, but HR has to play a role, right? That how do you sit together? How do you interact? How do you give feedback? How do you receive feedback? How do you empathize? How do you help other person? So I think so. There are two different parallel worlds, happening there.
So your message
Correct.
is, yeah, Sanjeev, I'll just add to what Anirudh said. His message is very clear. It's the concept and context of machines. If it's making my life simple, I will use it. Otherwise, I will discard. I'm not worried how much have you invested in it as a company, but if it's not impacting my bottom line and making things easy for me, I am not gonna use it regardless. So your views on this? And yes,
No,
you.
so I actually wanted to share an example, as Anirudh mentioned, on the performance management system. And I will share an example around that. But just before that, what I have seen, having had the opportunity to implement quite a few HRMSs. I know all of them are not AI, but then those days. So is once again two things. In a communications that we do with people, we do not really address the what's in it for me thing. Why should I do it? I'm good enough. For the person who's actually doing the work, I'm good enough today. Why should I need to actually change? One. The other thing that we also do not also probably allow as organizations is to continue with the legacies. continue with legacy systems. Okay, it's not working, you do that. You have an attendance system, but you also have a card along with it. Does not work at all. So one, do the base right, do the planning right, do the communications right, make a system that is useful, that is easy to use, but also at the same time, then you have to take a hard stop that from this day only one system works. Yeah. Coming on to the example that I was talking about, exactly that. So first year we implemented this particular system. I'm holding myself from just taking the name because this will be public. That so prior to that, everything was pen and paper turned Excel, and thereafter, so when this system came in, right from your goal setting and all still used to happen, a bunch of data entry operators were kept, and in that particular organization, you didn't have to take any permission if you are at certain levels. Of course, if you are engaging the temps. So appraisal season of the year, you see influx of temps in the organization just to do data entry from forms to Excel, and from Excel to the the system. The batch processing, the batch upload was not available in the system. The worst thing that could happen is that particular year, no individual feedbacks happened. We completed appraisal on time. The HR team, we patted our backs very much. There was a discontent in the organization where it came just a couple of days later, not even weeks or months, couple of days after the date when the process was declared closed. We had the calendar. We basically did our Gallup surveys. Huge dissatisfaction, and the main thing coming in was about that my manager does not care for me. Lowest scores in the organization. Trust me. Nobody talks to me types. That was an eye opener. We went back and we just asked people, and generally all over formula, but in certain departments it was glaringly low. We actually asked people what happened. Well, no, one fine morning I get a pop-up in my email and I see my rating is this, and nobody told me that I missed so many things. So then we asked, no, but there should be a feedback session where you guys have opened it up. My manager has written what he has written, and now my manager is on leave. It was a global organization, so and even if I'm walking up to my manager, oh yeah, no, now I've given my feedback. Now you talk to HR. You know what we did that year? So these things came up. Immediately, we actually scrapped all those ratings. We rerun the system. We actually rerun the system with the development that there has to be a physical in-person feedback, or in-person also means on call, of course. Though they used to have the what do you call it? The Cisco systems for video conferencing. Yeah, so there has to be that video conference happening for remote people, and both the manager and the employee has to agree on the system that yes, it has happened and I am satisfied. Step two, we kept a window open for appeal. If I am not okay with my rating, if I do not agree to the feedback, I can raise it. And there would be, so my skip level manager is now responsible to look at the thing and then take a final rating. We actually had changed quite a few ratings even after the so-called normalization thereof. That's how you start building in trust.
Precisely.
Yeah. So this has stayed with me actually.
Absolutely.
All these years. Yeah.
Nipsy, any experiences around this at your organization?
We've been facing separate challenges. We are a digital consulting firm, and people ask me, introduce more and more technology so that we don't have to interact. Perhaps because we work in a hybrid model, most of the people are remote and they just want to do things on their own time. So I am getting the requests from people to introduce more and more technology for almost everything. Though, as I said, we still have the hybrid model of working, as Sanjeeb said, in performance appraisal. We already have this process, all right. Everything will be through the tool, the forms, and all of that. But there has to have a meeting between people where they're discussing, sharing feedback, and all of that is happening. So we've never faced challenges, at least in terms of adoption, fortunately.
Aniruddha, anything from you on this?
No, I think first of all, I must say that Sanjeev, rolling something back is a very, very courageous decision, and I'm glad you all did that. because then that will significantly enhance your credibility and trust, like you said. Very, very important deal. Very, very important deal. And like, see, I'm also aware about some of the businesses what Nipsey were mentioning that, okay, I really have got nothing to do, because I know the range in which I'm going to get my increment. I know the rating by and large. I don't trust my manager. What is the point in talking even, right? So it's okay. It's just like, okay, you do your bit, I do my bit, and then let's. And there are a lot of there are a lot of businesses like that, right, where it is pretty cut and dry. Consulting in some way or other, investment banking, some way or other, that you more individual contribution or individual performance based businesses, you will perhaps see this happening. They're quite okay. They don't have to talk to HR, right? I mean, because they know that HR cannot add any value to their career. for
I
for
don't agree to
example,
that.
no. So, for example, they say, okay, don't do this, bullshit. You just send me an email and I'm okay with it. But I think as we continue to enhance, our value and contribution into their career, into their quality of life, and enhance the experience, I think then they will definitely look forward to. Now, technology has to be adopted, like for example, that for the ease and for a quicker turnaround. If a manager is able to, do the rating, recommend a, increment that has to be given, discussion goes very, very well, that is acceptable, then life is fabulous, right? And you will find people, of some people. I have dealt with, forget about system, I've dealt with managers, those who were not very comfortable giving rating in absolute terms. They always wanted in terms of, so 3.5, 3.4, and they were pushing me to ask Oracle to change. I said, that's not going to happen. You got to become. So then he would do, I said, okay, you do one thing, you do 3.2, whatever in friction you want to give. I will round it off and then put it in the system. So, I think, see, this thing happens. So, for example, now we are very comfortable ordering on Swiggy, right? Earlier, we used to phone call that restaurant and then you get food. So, once people understand that there is a value in this, there's no point in wasting time going all the way to the restaurant to pick up my thing. I think things will be smooth. And that HR has to play a very, very significant role to establish that value with the system and the technology and training people and hand holding them all the time.
Your messages are all very inspirational. And as somebody who's not working in HR, if I hear you guys talking, I would say what Nipsey's team is saying, that get me more technologies. But let me pick up the sword, and it's always double-edged. So, um, and I'm talking from an employee perspective, who's from a different division and not from HR. Yeah. So, um, and I'm picking Aniruddha's point wherein you mentioned about performance management. I'm not sure if you guys are great cricket fans, but if you've seen the recent World Cup, we had two bowlers, right? And I'm doing a very fantastic connection between an employee's hard work and cricket. Okay, so the next 60 seconds are crucial. In this World Cup, we had two bowlers, pacers from Indian team, Bumrah and Siraj. Now, if artificial intelligence, AI, was to pick the best bowler in the World Cup, he would pick Siraj. But all of you know that Bumrah was the better one, right? Out of so many overs and spells that he bowled, he would put a lot of pressure on the batsman, not allow them to score. The batsman wouldn't take much risk when he was bowling, because he'll bowl right into the slot, Yorkers, giving no room to the batsman, right? And when the next bowler would come in, the batsman will start hitting and taking risks, which meant that Siraj would get big wickets, but the hard work was being done by Bumrah, not allowing them to score. Right now, if AI was to calculate the data, pick up who took more number of wickets, the man of the series would be Siraj. Nobody would talk about Bumrah. There are so many Bumrahs in your organizations, I'm sure, who do the hard work, get the cake ready, but there's somebody else in the final stages who comes in with the credits. I'm sure with AI and what you've mentioned, Sanjeev, that people are not happy with their ratings. So what are the ethics issues when you plan to get 3 years down the line, you have your systems and people ready to adopt AI, it's 100% AI is managing performance. What are the issues in terms of ethics and the aspects that I've mentioned? How do you get that in the system?
See, I personally feel AI is as good as the codes that are written, and as it is intelligent, even though artificially, it picks up the trends and it improves. That's what it's supposed to be too, or be. Now, I think that is exactly where, when we are really writing the code of the system and we're actually keep creating a system, then we must not forget these critical instincts. We must not forget these nuances that actually define success. So that's exactly what that happens. And once again, as I said, I think thing that is coming out clear is that decision making is always is or rather should be a human thing. End of the day, AI can give us as many options, but what do we choose to look at to decide on a certain situation, that should be asked, and I'm sure out there cognitive judgment must
Hmm.
If I can come in, over there, I think the fundamental issue is with, the minute you say rating, right? When you want to rate somebody, you will look for data, right? And data is always very dry. Data doesn't have any emotions attached, with that. So I think what is also happening in the corporate is too much importance which is being assigned to the rating. That is really worrisome, because you're telling somebody you are one, two, three, four, five, whatever, and it has got a connotation, negative connotation, hugely associated with it, right? I think we need to, and I had done this, by the way. I had done this in one of the company that I worked. We actually moved away from communicating a rating. Okay, so four things. We communicated that what you have done well, what is the value you have created for the organization, what could have done better, what you could have done better. And then third is obviously, what are your aspirations? What do you really want to do or achieve out of this job? What is your career, whatever. And then fourth, how can we support your development and growth? Only four things. And we really took out the rating from that standpoint. We also took out so-called reward mechanism, which was always connected with the rating. So X rating means Y percentage and this and that. And I think that really was a game changer for us, because then people started focusing on value rather than worrying about what is my rating and getting defensive about it. And I think therefore too much data should be a reference, but data cannot become solely, decision make input for the decision making. It is one input, but you cannot 100% rely, because then people are not needed, right? The system will calculate your rating, system will give you increment, right? So I think we need to also understand that where is the balance. Okay, well, I take, and you gave a great example, by the way. So you take data into account, but then you also look at what has really gone in, what is real performance, what is that hidden performance, right? Which is, you just look at a video clip, somewhere that cameraman had adjusted to a different light, and that has actually given the whole, different feeling, right? And
Yes.
we tend to miss on that. We tend to focus more on the actor or
Right.
a script for that matter. So I think you're absolutely right. And therefore, HR's role, to going back, HR's role is actually to be this and to do this, rather than, just pushing people towards compliance on the system.
Mhm.
I think
true.
that's how I typically look at it.
True. See, just a quick thought that appraisals can never be successful, or for that matter, even accepted. People will live with it if it is only this rating equal to that increment. Then you really don't need appraisals. Actually, I mean, I've heard of cases in certain organizations that a lot of organizations unfortunately had to probably hold increments during the year of COVID. There were discussions in some of the forums that I am privileged to be a part of, that people said, "Ki, then do not do the appraisal this year. Why are you letting us go to this pain if you do not need appraisals now?" Therefore, the Aniruddha's opening point on career discussions, right? How has the last year been, and how is the next year going to be? How am I really going to work on my own aspirations? I think these are the facets that needs to be brought in. If technology can uh, um, solve or support these discussions, I think we have won the game.
There are stories beyond numbers. So,
There are stories beyond
yeah.
numbers. Very powerful. Yeah.
Yes, Nipsey, you given your tech backdrop and how you've been supporting tech at your organization, how have you managed the potential for inherent bias and lack of human judgment in appraisals? Any specific examples?
Well, I mean, technology is a powerful tool, but it is essential to maintain the balance. Human intervention brings empathy, ethical oversight. So we have this, as we were talking about this increment or appraisal process, we have a hybrid model while everything happens on the tool with regards to normal. We don't have a rating system, by the way. It's always about the feedback. What is it that I want to do? Where do I see myself 2 years down the line? How can I contribute? What is in it for me? So these are the conversations that we do besides doing regular form filling and all of that on the forms. So that one-on-one connection is what we have. So we have the hybrid model.
So, to summarize, anywhere in the near future, I'm not seeing the lack of that human judgment in performance appraisals, especially, and that AI will be important, but humans will be important too. Um, with that, Sanjeev, I'd want you to help us understand one thing that you can advise our audience that if they start doing, they will see better results in terms of their return on investment in tech and in productivity, and one thing that they should stop doing in order to get things better at their organization.
See, from my experience, once again, I can only share my experience, not an advice. But what I have seen work is to be able to pick a system which is able to address the organization's needs. My neighbor organization has done that, therefore I must do the. I must follow them. Does not work at all. Cut copy paste just does not work here. Every organization is different that way. But once we have done the need analysis, once we have been able to uh, customize till adoption, and now customize word in tech implementations has a very big connotation. Every time I've seen, we tend to replace our forms into exactly what my form should look like this on the screen, and the process should follow exactly the way I do it today. That once again does not work, because then we are not uh, getting the value. Then we are really we have failed in our design of actually using the system to create value for us. So therefore, see the system, what you want to do in terms of the organization's aspirations, organization's readiness to adopt that particular type of technology. Communicate well in terms of try to address the what's in it for me, for not only the major stakeholders but for most all, if not most users. And once you have implemented, let that be the system that should be. There cannot be parallel systems, or there cannot be, you know, so much of customization that you are actually starting to see your form on the screen. So some of these things we need to keep in mind, and do not look at the ROI only in terms of the money value. Also look at the value the system is giving you. How much of productivity has increased or can increase, uh, how much of process has been simplified, and so on and so forth.
Interesting. Okay. Nipsey, one thing that you'd want people to start doing and one thing that you'd want them to stop doing.
So from stop doing, I'll share a recent example. I'm sorry, I'll take a little longer here. So my sister-in-law, she recently joined the company, and they had solely, I mean, the automation they had onboarded, automated their onboarding process, while it systematically and efficiently handled all the administrative tasks, paperwork, initial, and everything, but it lacked the personal touch. I think she doesn't feel engaged. She doesn't have that affiliation with the company because everything is just done entirely digital for her. She feels disconnected. That's the recent example that I've seen. So I would encourage everyone to not completely automate their onboarding process. This initial phase is very, very crucial for them to create that bonding, that personalized experience check-ins to address issues or concerns. That has to be there. So that's on the stopping side. And in terms of one thing that they should start doing, at least, I mean, I'll tell you what I'll start doing. We were not doing our exit process through automation. It was all done manually. We were not able to analyze the data or create actions around what was being shared with us, fed to us. So I think that's one thing that I'm going to start doing. It's put all the data into AI. We are evaluating some tools and make some patterns out of that data. I have huge data, at least for last 3 years. So I want to make use of it. As of now, it's on very ad hoc basis that we are doing. So that's one process that I'm going to do.
Interesting. And there's something that is a challenge over there. See, I run a mid-sized team. And we are a self-funded organization. We are profitable. We have not gone for external funding. Now, when we hire, we only do hiring when we are maxed out at our capacity, right? And when we are maxed out and we just need a couple of more people to join us, nobody has the time to come and onboard them, right? And leave their own job, because that's the point why we hired somebody new, right? So it becomes, and there's so many similar companies. I keep talking to founders who are at the same size and scale. They keep facing this challenge all over. And for them and for myself, AI has helped on that aspect. But you're right, people do not feel that same motivation and inspiration to join us on that mission to be the next big thing, right? But I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is, but only time will tell. So with Aniruddha, your advice on both aspects,
Yeah.
please.
I think I'll quickly touch upon what Nipsy said. First of all, do we really need a lot of data? Do we really need it? And then taking an example of exit interviews for that matter, right? Do we really need a lot of data around exit? If there is too it's all fake, right? And sorry, I didn't mean it that way, but what I mean is that employee would never will tell you anything and everything but the real reason for leaving. If they trust you, they will tell you why they are leaving, because they don't want to leave at times unless there is other compulsion. So it's very simple. It just comes down to one face-to-face meeting. Why are you leaving? What will make you stay? Can we help in some way? And then otherwise decision is done, right? So this is just an example. Coming to quickly to induction part of it, and I can tell you an example. The best induction that I have ever experienced in my career ever is one company where I joined, and the chairman called me and he said, Aniruddha, I want to just spend some time with you. I just want to let you know why are you here, right? And he talked only about company's values and what is important for that company's culture and nothing else. He didn't talk about business. He didn't talk about expectations. He didn't talk about anything else. He just talked about values, and that stayed with me forever. So frankly, now that system cannot do that, right? So therefore, we need to really look at the value that we create through every single human interaction, every single human interface that exists. And if you're focused only on that, rest everything can be managed by technology, and then you focus on this. So whenever HR is making decision what you want to automate, what you don't want to automate, I think this has to be the test that so. And I think then things will fall in place. Feedback for that matter, just let me just add on to feedback for that matter, what Sanjeev mentioned about feedback can never be given through system. I will put everything else in the system later on, not beforehand. I will not go to ask my employee to go and read it. I will just first have a discussion, interaction, and then for whatever system, I'll just put some notes over there, and that's it. So
Interesting advices from everybody. I just come on to my last question, and Anirudh, you lead HR at a large organization. Did you ever fear AI will take your job?
oh, of course not. Of course not. More and more AI is welcome, because then there will be more and more need for human beings to manage the craziness around it. So
And and do you think people working in the mid to early stages of their life in HR, do they fear this?
not at all, not at all. Honestly speaking, not at all, because it's going to open real world of opportunities for them. Because right now they focus on a lot of transactional things. They believe if I do this, I earn my money. I think the true human potential will come out more as we start offloading, some of these transactional things. So there'll be huge opportunity. And I can only tell you that I'm going one step beyond. I think it's not just profession, but I think the way, the quality of life will continue to enhance and improve. I think that's amazing according to me.
Sanjeeb?
Completely echo with Aniruddha. Yeah, but I do see people fearing it, that AI is going to take our jobs and so on and so forth. More importantly, the students start fearing it. I only give them one example. Look, because I have been through, and I'm sure all three or maybe all four of us have seen the advent of computers to the country, the advent of digitization across all over. So basically, I tell them that there was a fear that once the ATMs come in or computers come in the banks will close down. Has it really closed? Does not happen, number one. But let us be prepared to be a part to embrace the change and thereby enhance our lives. If we tend to do the same work that I am doing today, which is going to get changed, then I'm in trouble. So let the mind be open. Let us explore more possibilities, and definitely it is growth all over. Let it happen.
Nipsy, I know your answer, but yeah, I still want to hear from you.
Well, absolutely. The short answer is no. While AI is transforming HR processes, making them more efficient, it's definitely not a replacement for HR professionals. Instead, I think it serves as a powerful tool that enhances our capability as HR teams. I mean, as a for HR professionals, as a role, we are evolving. I mean, while AI is taking over routine tasks, now focusing on, we can now focus on the data and insights from that and focus more on strategic side of HR. So I would say no.
Okay. Any tools that you'd want to recommend? This is not a sponsored question, but any tools that you've found very helpful and impactful, yet very sophisticated, simple to use, that you'd want to recommend to audience for any function? Open to all.
I can start with, so we use Infido's Amber. It's called, the tool is called Amber. We use it for our sentiment, employee engagement, sentiment analysis. So it's been very, very helpful, and we've been able to arrest attrition. I mean, people talk to that tool, they share some insights, whatever they're feeling at that point in time. Then we take that input and take corrective actions before it really becomes a bigger issue where a person decides to leave. So I would recommend people to invest in that tool, and it's a very cost-effective tool too.
Interesting. Anybody else?
A little dated though, but I did have a really very good experience with success factors as an overall HRMS, and also with Skillsoft as an comprehensive LMS. I mean, I have not seen any other product so far. My very limited understanding or exposure, which matches the capabilities of Skillsoft at this stage. But yeah, once again, things are improving. Things are. I mean, as you said, a lot of new players in the market, so I'm really open to evaluate others.
Okay. Aniruddha, I'd not want you to answer the same question. I have something that has popped up in my mind, and I think we missed this part. How do you see AI helping us with succession planning and identifying internal talent?
Oh, I think that's a very good question, and so frankly speaking, lot of assessment part, a lot of predictive analysis in terms of the potential of an individual can certainly help us to do that. So for example, when it comes to internal candidates, right, we are largely biased towards personalities, towards people, and those are very difficult kind of choices and decisions. So you identify somebody, you have great feeling about it, you want to see that name on the succession planning chart, but when it comes to moving that person, then you feel, oh, I don't think that person is ready, or this and that. So I think AI can do a lot of stuff because there is a lot of internal data available as compared to the external about the potential candidates. Second is, it can also reach. AI can also help us to reach in a large organization where you have 15, 20,000 people. you don't have visibility. You have visibility only to top 100. You have visibility only to 200 people. I think that data can come in, that you could look at all these potential candidates, run them through assessment or whatever. I think it will just help us. Well, my biggest struggle has always been that, people, you ask for somebody to put up their succession planning chart for the department, they will be very, very restricted, in terms of, because they lack the information. They don't know in other company, other business of yours, where is the talent available. So I think there is a huge opportunity over there. So right from looking at people, getting that data, assessing, analyzing, and giving us some suggestions. So these are, probable good profile match. You want to take a look at it.
Interesting. Sanjeev, closing comments on this from you, please.
No, yeah, I mean, you're very right. The other thing also that comes in bias out here, because even if the successor's name comes up in the list, we say, okay, this person has, this person does not have ABC. The person has XYZ. We tend to forget in terms of decision making, and that's exactly where things go where, and we might be missing out on candidates because of that. So I'm sure AI will be unbiased at this case, and therefore would give us much more insights on the candidates for us once again to take a very informed decision. So basically, echo on those points here.
Interesting. Nipsy, closing comments on this from you, please.
Sure. So I echo both Aniruddha and Sanjeev's point. There is a lot of biasness when you do succession planning. So I would recommend using some of these tools to analyze because it has range of data points, including performance metrics, feedback from peers, employee engagement scores. So AI identifies patterns and provide us with list of people who you were perhaps not even looking at. So we definitely use AI for leadership assessment, succession planning.
Interesting. So this has been a very insightful session on AI and productivity with great inputs from all of you. I just want to end with one point on productivity, and that is, I used to think productivity is something that if I work hard, put in more time, I will get better results. But productivity is not about getting better results. Productivity is feeling good about the journey. And if we feel good about the journey, the output will follow. And if AI is helping us that with that feel good factor, it is a boom. If not, people will resist it. So with that, thank you everybody.